Good evening to Double Digits, chaps. Episode 10.
God, I'm old.
Now I won't be able to count anymore.
Yeah.
Alex
Why not?
Willies from Devon.
I take my socks off, Duncan.
there you go, yeah.
Then I can go up to
Have you
however
really?
many that is.
Please don't.
Please don't. No.
It's Remembrance Sunday today. We are recording on a Sunday because I think that's the only date in the next week or so that we could all possibly get together. Such is the feedback that we have got with the pod. We thought it would be best to record one for this week and get it into your ears. Where are we? We're in Marieve Towers. Producer Mark, thanks very much for hosting us.
Indeed.
I am sipping a truly wonderful bit of drink. Talk us through it, Pete.
Slow gin, mate. Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Litre of gin, 400 grams of sloes, 200 grams of sugar. Leave it for a year, and then bring it to a podcast.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Pete brews his own moonshine, as it turns out. So I'm going to pour myself a wee drab, and if I don't go blind, I might have a bit more.
So Remembrance Sunday, chaps, did you observe?
Today,
Yeah.
certainly, yeah, and we did, yeah.
And then what was on last week, Pete, as well?
Last week, 4th of November, yeah, we do it a week early so that the wreath is up in the clubhouse. So it's 50 old Surbitonans lost their lives during the last World War. So we like to get together. We did it prior to the game against London Cornish, and we invited a few of their guys over for lunch, and they stayed up, including Billy Davison's dad. Bill Davison Sr. was there, and Mags. And it went very well. And in fact, Mark Green of the 2nd Battalion, Princess of Wales's Royal Regiment, actually laid the wreath for us, and we'll be sending it out as part of the newsletter just before Christmas.
Perfect. I don't know if you saw what happened in Cobham yesterday on the 11th. So do you know, as you go down the tilt, you've got all the cherry trees. Each cherry tree represents someone from Cobham that died in World War I, and they've got now all been named, and they've got a nice wee QR code that you can go and take a buzz and find out a bit more about that person and their history and stuff. I thought that was unbelievable. So there you go. Now, when we all met today, I can see the remnants of some haziness in some of the eyes, including Mr. Mark Duncan. Friday was our city lunch in town.
Yeah, fantastic event. For those of you that haven't gone, it is not to be missed. It's you can start it off however you like. We started off with a boozy breakfast at Fago's at about 9 o'clock, just to warm up. Got to.
Did you really?
Yeah, we started at 9.
It's very out of character for you, Duncan.
We had Deaf Alex with us, and that was extra entertaining because he hadn't eaten breakfast and had to leave at 3 to go pick up his mum. He was one of at least 2 members that I know of who had to be customer assisted onto trains at Waterloo. So it was definitely a good fun day. We had Jamie Roberts, Welsh and British and Irish Lions legend, talking. It was quite interesting. He had some pretty good stories. I think the scene setting by us was really good because whoever was sitting next to Ryan Saunders yanked his chair before he sat down right at the feet of Jamie Roberts, and that was just,
twice in a row.
Twice in a row.
It was excellent. It was brilliant.
I saw the first one. I didn't see the second one.
Was that why he was unable to play on Saturday?
I think he knew.
No, that was before. It was beforehand.
Okay.
He'd already given Max Franks the bad news as Max was walking into the do.
Yeah. Something along the lines of, well, I'm here now, so I might not be there tomorrow.
Did it slow down Max Franks? Absolutely not.
No. Okay.
And we had Johnny Gould doing the auction, and he's been, I mean, everybody's had a Johnny Gould experience, and some of the stuff he came up with was fantastic.
Yeah, he was really good.
Table 10 looked like a remake of Cocoon. He called out Rory for being Brian Blessett's love child, which I thought was right on point.
I think that's forevermore. Sorry, McVeigh, but you are now
That's stuck.
Love child.
Yeah.
And having known our own Stephen Hurd through school and university, calls him John Major's body double. Maybe from the head up.
It's quite funny. I've actually got a World Rugby HIA assessment form in front of me, and I think it would have been quite applicable, certainly for me, on Saturday morning. It says, do you have a headache? Well, yeah. Do you have any dizziness? Quite a lot of that, yeah. Pressure in your head? Certainly, yeah. Do you feel nauseated or feel like vomiting? Yeah, definitely. Blurred vision? Yeah, some of that too.
What's the last thing you remember? But for chairman of the senior session, Chris Melton, probably like walking through the doors. And then everything else is fairly hazy.
There was one we call out, so producer Mark doesn't know these are in the notes, but producer Mark, I think, looking at him in his eyes, did he get carried away at some of the auctioneering?
That was a yes, wasn't it?
It was. Congratulations on purchasing tickets to the Quins game.
Winning tickets to the Quins Saracens.
Winning.
What would be the victim?
Congratulations,
the auctioneer
Mr.
and
Mark,
the
you are a
auctionee. He was the biggest auctionee of the evening.
So well done for buying tickets for the game that you actually can't attend because you're not in the country. Actually, if anyone does want 2 tickets to Quins v Sarries in the coming weekend, drop us a line at cobhampod@gmail.com and we'll do a swap, right? We'll do a swap. So, funny talking about HIAs. We've got 2, I'm going to say, world-renowned guests, each experts in their own field this week. And guest number 1 is a living legend. He's certainly been helpful to me at the club, fixing me whenever I need fixed. Our legend of a physio stumps, so Dr. David Silver, PhD, who has also recently scaled the Alps, is joining us. How are you, Dave?
He's seen us at our worst.
Hello, chaps. Good to be with you all.
How you doing?
I'm very well, very well. I had, unfortunately, I couldn't make it Friday, but on Thursday I was with Billy at the charity we're both ambassadors for on our own little lunch. So there were a few people that managed to double up and do Thursday and Friday, Carl Lemmer being one of them. So congratulations to Carl and Craig Robson.
And he played on Saturday.
Yeah,
Carl and
that man's an animal.
I'll say that's Carl and Craig with 3 nights on the spin. Can we get a welfare check on them this evening? Can we get a proof of life? Particularly as Chelsea have just lost to Man City, I think we do need to check on Carl.
Dave, you're first of all, congratulations for what must have been years and years and years of hard work to get your PhD. I've had a read of The Weighty Tomb, which I thought was 35,000 words. It's 75,401 words. Give us a sense of why you embarked on that journey.
Well, yeah, you're right. It did take a long time. It took far longer than it should have done, courtesy of COVID and a few other things. Unlike the convention for a PhD is you do these things sort of full time and it takes sort of 3 or 4 years. But I did it part-time, largely because I was thoroughly engaged in the process, and that's what led me to it. I'd seen the challenges of head injuries at community levels firsthand, and like so many people in my profession had been confronted with the difficulties. And so whilst I was involved in academics, I've been involved with St Mary's University for a long time now. The opportunity arose, courtesy of a fantastic mentor of mine who dispelled all the theories of what it was like to be an academic and encouraged me to do so, and that started the journey. And like many things, it sort of evolved from there. I started off as a fresh-faced young single man, and it rolled with me, and it's pretty much broken me.
Taken its toll. Dave, can I just ask, just what is an HIA for everyone who's listening? What is it? What happens to someone?
They get bumped on the head, Pete.
The
of which you've had many.
To clear up any sort of misconceptions, that the HIA process is only used in that context in professional grade rugby. So in community level rugby, anywhere below professional grades, we use the suspicion of concussion as the trigger for removal.
Right.
Largely because we don't have an opportunity to provide pitch side assessments with continuity of care and the risks of a concussion are pronounced if people return to the field after sustaining a head injury. So suspicion is primarily the trigger.
Right.
At professional levels, where you've got independent match day doctors who conduct these things, you can have a more rigorous process. But the larger end of the playing community, we very much rely on suspicion of concussion, which again has a degree of ambiguity to it. But that is where we're at.
And I see that your paper is called Concussion Assessment, Management and Education within the UK Youth Community as the name of the paper. That's quite a mouthful. If you
it's not the punchiest, is it? I tried to sort of slim it up a bit, but
if you just write,
and I suppose that sort of alludes to the fact that it's evolved over the years. The last five or so years, I've been acting as a research consultant for the RFU, and so my primary role is advising them on their educational process with regards to concussion in youth rugby. And so a lot of what I've been doing over the last 5 or 6 years is about education and behaviour change. But concussion research has grown exponentially in the last decade, and so there are so many different avenues. But my speciality is within youth cohorts. So yeah, keeping it nice and punchy was always going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I always read them. I say Harry Potter and whenever I read a name of a paper, I go Harry Potter and the concussion assessment application within UK youth community. Well, it sounds fantastic. I want to watch that one. There
are times in which I was hiding in the cupboard under the stairs.
Nice.
Yeah. No, evening stumps. I mean, more time is lost to concussions and recovery from concussions across grassroots and professional rugby.
I believe so.
Yeah. At the moment, so kind of the injury that takes up the most amount of time across playing groups. Do you reckon kind of this will always be so, or do you reckon and kind of it's just going to be an aspect of professional and grassroots rugby forever and ever, or is there a change in culture, a change in the rules, or maybe a combination of both that will bring that kind of time loss aspect down?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and I think at the moment no one can give you anything definitive about that for several reasons. Largely, outside of professional rugby, we're still not that clear as to injury prevalence. So the incidence rates are quite broad that we've presented, and so until we get good data sets from some of the gum shield work that's going to be going on at the moment and saliva testing, hard to really get a good appreciation of how prevalent it is within the game. As we're going forward in the impact of rule changes, I would imagine, and I'm sure my RFU colleagues would probably agree with this, is that even if we see a distinct reduction in head injuries, there probably will be the most frequent injury and the one that leads to the most time loss. I can't see that changing unless the game changes exponentially, probably beyond what we would consider to be rugby. I suppose that alludes to the issue that we have at hand. People like me, academics, are tasked with providing information from which people can make objective decisions. It's not my place to tell whether the risks are too high. What I need to do is provide people with enough understanding that they can make informed decisions. All aspects of life carry risk. I think the benefits of rugby are considerable. And at many levels of the game, they will outweigh the potential risks. But until we really tick all of those boxes and provide people with as much information as possible, it's still a very individual decision in terms of risk management.
And David, Stumps, David. It feels weird calling you David. Can you tell me...
Doctor to you.
Yeah, Dr. David Silver Fox. Can you tell me why it's considered so difficult to diagnose, assess, and manage? For me, I mean, I've had a couple of bumps on the head, and you've taken me off a couple of times, and it sometimes, even for the players, it's difficult. But I can assume it's difficult for you guys too.
Oh, yeah, it's incredibly difficult, and hence why suspicion is the trigger. The answer lies in the fact that we don't have any objective tests that are practical pitch side. There are some fairly specialised, expensive, obscure tests that can give you some sort of changes to things like blood flow levels and functional MRI, but largely there isn't anything to be seen when we image things. And so what that leaves is it leaves people like me and the medics within the game essentially using symptoms as the precursor to try and infer a likelihood of concussion. It's why you will see very commonly suspicion of concussion rather than a diagnosis of concussion as the primary triggers. Again, hopefully there will be better objective tools. Birmingham University are working quite hard on saliva testing. There's some bits and pieces going on in the States with that as well, which will give a fairly quick turnaround for an objective measure. However, the specificity, the sensitivity of these things is yet to be fully established. And moreover, getting that kind of thing down to grass levels when there is a cost implication is going to be extremely difficult. So at the moment, we're still very much relying on people like me making clinically reasoned decisions, which is very difficult. And I think for first aiders who are generally the first on the scene, particularly at youth levels, it makes things incredibly difficult.
We've got a first aid course coming up end of November, I think, and I'm one of the first aiders for the 11s. There's a few of us. Is there something that us and parents and coaches can do better now to either to help, to not diagnose as such, but just to stay one step ahead?
There's lots of things. The primary one in terms of safety is communication, as ever. So communicating well with coaches, communicating well with parents to make sure everyone's got suitable eyes, because the challenge at youth levels and community levels is reporting incidents. The top flight, you've got cameras, you've got match day referees, you've got media. Everyone's got eyes on the pitch. At youth levels, it's far harder. So we're much more reliant on players coming forwards with symptoms. So in terms of a first aid management, we want to have as many eyes on the pitch as possible to report these kind of things in. And then we want to encourage the players to come forward and report symptoms. And this is one of the hardest things at the moment. And so things like, can you ensure to players that if they do report symptoms and they come off and they do end up having a stand down, that their place in the team might be protected? Because that's a big fear for a lot of players, and it's one of the barriers to them coming forwards. Can we ensure that now that the regulations have changed, that exercise, even if they're symptomatic, is going to be part of the treatment, so they're not going to be completely excluded from sport and activities, making them aware of the new regulations, because it really is a case of we need kids to come forwards, we need players to come forward and say, look, I don't feel quite right, I've had a knock to the head, and it's not going to have just a mandatory slap bang for 21 days and you're out, because that seems to be the primary thing that puts people off reporting.
Got it. Well, Dave, I'm fascinated by the whole saliva thing. That could be a bit of a game changer, actually. And the gum shield thing I've talked about for the last couple of years. I think I'm quite excited about that. David, I could talk about this for a long, long time. But we've also got lots of other guests to talk to as well. But just a personal thanks from me for fixing me up over the past few years, and thanks from everyone at Cobham and from the Cobham pod for coming on, giving us your wisdom, and thanks for not using too much Latin like you threw at me on a Wednesday. But it was great.
It's my pleasure entirely, chaps. I shall skulk back off to my cupboard under the stairs.
Thanks very much, David.
Thanks.
Whoa, what a boy. Should we break for an ad?
We can try. Let's do it. We'll try and do it again.
Let's go.
All right, are you gonna provide the clinking of glasses and background laughter? Jimmer, can I have 3 pints of brandy and coke, please? Yes, brandy and coke.
What ho, Blissy, old fruit?
How's it, Pete? You just in time. It's my round. Can I get you a pint of brandy and coke?
That'd be spiffing. Marvellous. I'll have what you're having.
Oh, good boy. Jimmer, can you add another pint to that? Yes, of brandy and coke. Also, Jimmer, we're going to need 3 bags of biltong, 2 barbecue and 1 Kalahari.
Biltong by Billy Tong is available at the Cobham Bar. Select from over 20 flavours. The best choice for customers looking for a high-quality, protein-packed, delicious snack.
Lekker.
The look of disgust on your face at Blissy's act, I thought it was good. Was it your accent?
Those terms and conditions were as smooth as the sloe gin, Duncan.
Got it.
Airs rock over here.
All right, so we're on to
It's all Southern Hemisphere to me.
we're on to our second guest now. My goodness, I don't know how we landed this. Guy.
Don't talk about it or you might leave.
We're delighted to welcome a globally recognised superstar in the field of commentary, specifically rugby. He's been on Sky for I think way over 10 years, 4 World Cups he's covered, and he's also the creator, owner, director, talker of the Rugby World Cup Women's Pod, Rugby Women's Pod, and his name is Johnnie Hammond. Johnnie, how you doing? Welcome. Did I get your history right, Johnnie? The good bits.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, they're thereabouts. Yeah, no, nice to see you all. Thanks for the invite.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh,
Yeah, brilliant.
good to have you.
Yeah.
So, Johnnie, we've had when the World Cup was on, we had Rugby World Cup players. We had Rugby World Cup referees giving us the essence of their experience right throughout the whole Rugby World Cup. But I'd love to get your take. What was it like as a commentator? Because you're on ITV, weren't you?
That's right. Yeah, we did 6 or 7 games during the group stages. It was rubbish, lads. Really, really low key. No, it was. It was sensational. You listen to things and you read things as a fan. That things weren't particularly well organised down in Marseille. People trying to get in and beers and what have you. But from my point of view, the whole thing was absolutely sensational. The atmosphere. I was doing the last game I did was France, Italy, and as commentators, you're all kind of bunched together on the halfway line to the midway up. And I look behind me because the crowd are going wild, and you want to convey, that's your job, to convey what you're experiencing on the ground to those listening and viewing at home. And I just look behind me, and there's Joel Stransky. This is a man who's kicked South Africa to a World Cup final win, and he is just grinning and smiling, like eyes welling up. The atmosphere was that good. It was, and every ground that you went to, whether it be, I was in Nantes, I was in Lyon, I was in Toulouse, Saint Etienne, and different crowds for different teams. So in Chile, so it had a real Latin feel. So that was a little bit edgier than normal, but the whole thing was fantastic. Not sure that the right results in the end, but
I thought the results were just perfect.
Oh, the 1 point gang. We had some sensational results, didn't we? And South Africa seemed to be doing that very well of late.
Johnny, it's Pete. Can I just ask you, other than the final, do you have a game that really sticks in your mind? A favourite game, one that really impressed you?
That I worked on, or just generally?
No, just in general.
Just in general. I think you can't go away from that French quarter-final. Who was it against now?
South Africa.
Forgettable bunch, to be fair. Like, I can't really think of much they did that at all.
Forgettable team. No,
That's fair.
That first 30, 40 minutes is about as good a rugby as I've seen in the men's game for possibly ever. It was absolutely sensational. I thought that game was great. The opening ceremony was hilariously French, a real sort of Mickey take out of themselves. But the game was good as well. But I was lucky enough to do Fiji Australia, which for the result,
absolute game.
For the result and what have you. Portugal beating Fiji was a great game. But all those quarterfinals for very different reasons were. If we got any of those 4 in the final, we would have been very happy. Yeah. And even the semis and the final were or certainly one semi and the final were great games again for very different reasons.
And yeah, Johnny, obviously you're king of the commentary box, king of the ring, king of the mountain. But who's the best co-commentator you've had climb in there with you and convey the raw emotion of watching 30 blokes chase an egg-shaped ball for a considerably long period of time.
Well, I'd say I was pauper rather than king of the commentary box, but it very much depends with your game, because in some games you want some analysis. So the Ben Kays and the Hugo Monias are very good. I used to do a lot of championship rugby, sort of second tier of England, and I worked for a long time with Darry Morris.
Nice.
It's not going to give you the analysis that others may do, but in terms of a relationship and the camaraderie and the relationship that comes across the screen, very good. I will say Emily Scarrett is right up. I did her first ever game and got her introduced when I was at Sky, and she is one of these people who is brilliant at absolutely anything that she does. She's quite extraordinary, and commentary was no exception.
And speaking of the women's side of the game, the Women's Rugby World pod is very popular. Can you tell us a bit more about that? What's changing? What are you seeing? What is life like on that side of the world?
It was just something that I've been an advocate of the women's game for 25 years. And when I was at Sky, I was able to sort of tell the producers and the exec produce whatever, and guilt them into getting some women's rugby on telly. Then I left Sky, and there wasn't anything in that space for women's rugby, and that was 5 years ago, and podcasts were taking off. So decided to use about the only talent I have, which is using my mouth and talking. And we decided with a lady called Rachel Burford. Yeah.
I'm glad you said talking there, John. It was excellent. You almost
Take a moment, Mark. Take a moment, mate.
Well, I could see the reaction of the smutty Saffers face. No, I just quantified for you. Come on, this is a family show, right?
Yeah.
It was.
Slow, mate. You've got to be careful with that.
I'm sure my microphone.
It's like you will be cut off.
But look, the women's game is going nuts. But we're at a really delicate stage at the minute to build the game properly and on foundations of concrete rather than the sand, which the men's game is built on. And sadly, for the likes of Worcester and Wasps and London Irish, those pillars of sand have crumbled. But it's really important that the women's game grows. And it's a very accessible game. And these leaders up until a couple of years ago have been doing this, as amateurs. Actually, the level that they play at is quite extraordinary. Mike Tyndall can't pass off his left hand. He's a World Cup winner and married a royal and does very well for himself. The girls, when they were amateurs, even 20 years ago, were all able to pass off both hands. So I've just tried to push in that space to get them the recognition that I feel that they deserve.
Oh, great job.
It's cracking. It's certainly working, Johnny.
Good. Well, yeah, we like to hope so. We have guests from all over the world. Who we have last week? Maud Muir and Sadia Kabea. Sarah Hunter Dame Sarah Hunter is one of my co-hosts this week with Marley Packer, the World Player of the Year, and Belinda Moore, who's the new CEO of the new sort of Women's Premier League, which kicks off on Saturday.
Oh, what's that? Go on.
The PWR, so it used to be called Premier 15s,
right.
And it was embedded within the RFU, which had its massive drawbacks. A separate company, still a slight umbilical cord to the RFU, but it's gone out by itself. And TNT, formerly BT, who do all the men's stuff, European and league stuff, Premiership, are doing the women's as well. So we've sort of managed to get that over the line so that we can potentially do double headers and that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Good.
So that's with a proper broadcaster and a proper production team, some proper commentators, it's really exciting because I don't need to be convinced women's rugby is really good. but the floating voters do, and the better it looks and the better it sounds and all the rest of it, the more people you're going to attract. So it's a real game changer for what is the best league in the world for women's rugby.
Got it. And what about? I'd love to get your take, because you've seen all the games. You're around the rugby playing fraternity most days, and I just like everyone's looked back at the Rugby World Cup, and I'd like to just ask you to look forward to the next Lions tour in the men's game. Anyone flying under the radar right now that you can think of to keep an eye out over the next wee while? It's quite a tough question. By the way. Sorry, Johnny, that's a very tough question.
No. It's I'm trying to think of someone a little bit more left field. I think Tom Pearson is going to come hard at an England berth, especially with Courtney Laws now retiring. Yeah, I think he could be there or thereabouts as a bolter. I think Henry Arundel. I think we probably all know about him a little bit. But should a team decide to pass him the ball, we might actually see a little bit more of his action. The lowly Scots who always complain about the amount of British and Irish Lions in their ranks. There would be a fair few in there at the moment, wouldn't there? Whether it be the Darcy Grahams or Duan. Yeah, he's Scottish.
He is now.
That's the Skoman of the Skoman clan of the Highlands. Yeah, I'm sure.
It's just from that very particular village.
It's going to be quite. It's going to be quite Irish centric, isn't it? Because we all suspect that Andy Farrell will head up the Lions. Yeah. And what I always find fascinating with these conversations is, why on earth did he do? His stats are loads better. You've got to understand that these guys go away in a very intense situation, whether it be under 8s on a Sunday morning, like most of us have done, or whether it's all the way up to the British and Irish Lions. Coaches have to trust people, and that's a huge part of the selection of that squad and the combination of the players, whether they go together or not. So it's not just about, with the Lions, because it's so intense, it's not just about playing ability, but as people as well, and that relationship they have with the coach. So as you're working with people more and more, you're going to trust them more, aren't you? So there will be a fair few Irish players in those
for sure.
Despite being a damn good rugby side, right?
Yeah. Expecting the backbone of the team, really.
Maybe, yeah. No Sexton, mind you. There was no Sexton in the last Lions tour, Anyway, Johnny, listen, we're going to go and wrap into a whole bunch of more segments. But thanks for coming on. Thanks for speaking to us. A serious pat on the back from all of us, from all the work you're doing in the women's game. It's quite incredible. I listened to a couple of pods over the last few days. Long may your success keep going and keep driving forward. And from all of us here, thanks very much.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, gents. Pleasure.
Cheers, pal. All right. Brilliant. A game changer, some would say. How about we dive into, just super quick, some of the games the weekend? Pete, you caught a couple?
I got the Gloucester Bath game on Friday. Quite incredible. So eventually Gloucester 27, Bath 45. But at half time, it was 20 points to 10. And at that point, Bath were in hot water. Get it? You see what I did there? Come on. If you can't keep up, honestly.
Get that man some more slow down.
But Finn Russell and Ollie Lawrence, that seemed to work really well. Finn Russell's a bloody nuisance on the pitch when he plays against England, and he was in that game as well. And Thomas Dutoit, tight head prop from South Africa. I mean, he looked really good.
Thomas the Tank Engine.
He's a giant.
South Africa don't produce many of those.
He got a try, and they just came back in the second half, and it was good to watch.
Yeah,
very good.
So Finn Russell shushing the shed.
I saw that
after nailing a kick when Bath weren't even going to go ahead. It's sort of like, I really have this, lads. Sorry, okay. I'm going to win now.
I saw that. That's pretty good.
I appreciate you telling us about the game, Pete, because Def Alex's commentary here on the notes is just unbelievably one-sided.
Yeah, of course it is. In capitals, bring it on. Thanks.
Apparently, it's Bath's year. That's what he says.
It's coming home.
Yeah,
Has it?
You can take the boy out of the West
fans have
Country.
heard it's our year before, so
Has it ever been
yeah,
home back?
I'm sure they will remain
Yeah.
like entirely calm about all this.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Leicester? I listened to that game on BBC Radio
Queens,
Leicester.
Yeah, that was quite.
Yeah.
It was a tight game, and actually, there were a lot of mistakes, a lot of handling errors. Tyrone Green did it again. Just went into orbit, scored another try. Almost, well, not quite identical, but very so similar. He looked really good. And Dino Lamb playing.
Dino Lamb.
What a fantastic game that boy had. I mean, just outstanding. And Leicester now 1 from 5, second from bottom.
Yeah. No Borthwick, no.
Yeah, no Borthwick, no party.
Yeah.
Right. How about Executor? Oh, we were calling them out last week, saying they're in danger of being very good.
Well, they're very good at Fortress Sandy Park, it seems. Yeah, I mean they've rolled whoever's gone down there, but then as soon as they kind of head up the A303 to anywhere else, they seem to lose their bite a little bit. I mean, against Northampton they looked not particularly convincing. Like fairly rudderless, seemed to be kind of slower in D, particularly slower in attack. Not even a 7XL shirt worn by Aaron Painter. The largest shirt in Exeter Chiefs circulation could make a difference, which, you know, says something from one prop to another. But yeah, no, I mean, you know, Exeter, I mean, Northampton are incredibly good, especially at the Gardens. They really, really do attack you pretty much everywhere. They have a lot of players with a very high skill level. But yeah, Exeter will look back on that one as a confirmed bad day at the office, I reckon.
Interesting, before today's game, Exeter had conceded 52 points and they'd scored 151. They were the top point scorers and had the tightest defence in the league. 99 point difference.
I don't know. These first few rounds for me are they're dead rubbers, and well, not dead rubbers. They're just without the internationals from the World Cup being there. I think that the games are massively skewed towards teams that don't have a lot of internationals or have gone for guys or have guys that left after the group stages. It's not. I don't think it's a fair playing.
The Northampton boys are back. Mitch
Yeah,
was the
most
scrum
of them.
half,
Yeah,
and
this game.
Courtney
Well, I
Laws.
suppose
No, what I mean is the
that's something
previous
that
game.
Baxter will.
Oh, yeah.
Baxter will
Now
look
they're
at
back
as
in
the
that.
time.
You're absolutely right, Mark. Yeah.
Now they're back in Exeter being shown
Yeah.
up. So I think it's a
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I
That's a
think
good
kind of
point.
Baxter will look at the essentially kind of, you know, this start of the season when players were out the World Cup to make to kind of, you know, not steal but kind of secure results against good teams, missing internationals, which they did. I mean, you know, now that the internationals are back, Exeter could look very different, and then when the Six Nations comes around again, there's not many. Well, David Jenkins and Christians are probably the two that really stick out. Joe Hawkins has been exiled, might come back. No, they have a couple of internationals that might come in, but I reckon then they'll target that period as time where they come right back into it. As a smart coach would. But yeah, well, as you say, the first couple of rounds are always kind of, you know, feelers of how things are going to be when the rub starts to hit the road.
What about Newcastle? Salary reasons.
I mean, Sarries look like they're Sarries again, which is probably the kind of the least surprising thing in club rugby. So oddly enough, when they get all the boys back in, they start to look pretty good, which they did. Theo Dan had a great game, I thought. But yeah, Alex has just said this is getting painful for Falcons.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, what can they do from here?
Is there relegation this year?
I don't know.
That's a really good question.
Who knows with that?
Because if
even
there
if there
isn't,
is-
then they don't really.
No one can come up.
I was going to say like Ealing Council once again turning down the stadium thing. So Ealing is
So there might not be by
Okay,
default.
maybe they can count the yellow and red card chairs towards the stadium seat count. The one thing I'll say, just with my Miles Hill hat on, is I still don't understand how Sarri's under the salary cap. That was just me channeling Miles. I felt it was like a seance, and I felt him coming.
We'll nod complicitly.
Good question. And they might not be alone either, you know. They might not be alone.
True.
Yeah. I watched the first half of the Ospreys versus Glasgow game in the RC, and weirdly, almost all of the Scotland internationals were still not yet playing for Glasgow, which I thought was strange. They won down in Wales, but I tell you what, there were not many people watching.
Did that hooker, I've forgotten his name, plays for Glasgow, but has just the most ridiculous game to try ratio
Johnny
in the world.
Johnny Matthews.
Yeah, did he score?
Of course, of course he did 2. He's something else. Yeah, so he's on my list of
guess for the pod.
Guess for the pod. 1, 2.
Bolters for the Irish
line.
Yeah.
British.
Maybe.
Well, he was on for Scotland and then within like 3 minutes he scored as well. The guy just knows his way to the try line like faster than.
Got it. Yeah. How about the Cobham review?
It's the Cobham review.
Go to the Cobham review.
That's just it gets better and better.
Little baseline there.
Yeah, that was good. Now, we have a lot here. We've got a lot of, so thank you so much to the coaches and all the support staff for chucking all these in. There's loads. So, first of 3 matches at home on Saturday, which were Quins versus Chiefs Ladies Centre of Excellence for under 18s, captained by our very own friend of the pod, Emily Lunn, who was outside centre. Now, Podmaster Sneed saw the first 15, 20 minutes. You said it was competitive. The scoreline tells me you were lying. It was 79-0 to Quins. That's hefty, isn't it? That's hefty. And we did have a chance to catch up pitch side with Molly Bunker, who was playing inside centre.
Our backs played very well together. We had some good connection, and it was nice. We pulled off some nice moves and managed to score a few points. So yeah,
excellent. So final score was 79-0.
Yeah,
excellent.
79-0.
So I was able to watch the first half, and it looked pretty close. I think the scoreline, I was surprised to see 79-0 at the end.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on sort of where you? It's hard to say where you could improve, or where were their strengths?
I think they had some very strong ball carriers, and defensively we played very well, so they didn't gain much ground. But I think for us we could probably work on our push a bit more, spread more in defence. We're a bit clumped in places, but I think we've got a very good press and very good defence and tackling and things like that. So yeah. Well played.
Thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you.
Cheers then.
A tough long day. So the ones we played, Battersea Ironside's currently sitting top of the league. I believe they've only lost 1 game this season, and they weren't going to make it 2 unless they've lost 2, in which case they weren't going to make it 3. Because we got pretty smoked in the first half and ended up securing a losing bonus point by winning the second half, but ended up on the wrong end of a 24-41 scoreline. Very much credit to Battersea for being just a very well organised, disciplined, well turned out outfit, and very good luck for them the rest of the season. And a shout out to Christopher Lippiat, our captain, his first time with the armband on. Scored 2 tries and started the fight back. And I would also like to shout out Jay McQuaid for only asking me for a shout out 3 times this week rather than twice the week before. Very well done, Jay. He lasted 80 minutes and also scored a try.
Does he have a nickname?
Cake or slice of cake.
I'm just checking. So we've got Stumps and we've got Cakey. We'll give another shout out to another nickname in the second 15. Played in the Battle of the Age against Cobham and came away victorious 24-20. It was the most competitive game that we saw at home this weekend compared to the other 2. And well done to Vets, legends and alum, Craig Robson, otherwise known as Kenny Rogers, Ian Sherville, otherwise known as Haddock, Ben Joyce, or just Joycey, that one's a bit boring, and former first team captain and 150 plus first team caps as a Cal, all played, who helped Ollie Fielding's young team edge up and win against a strong Cobham side. Man of the match was to impact player Christian Disley May,
or Dizzers if we're going on nicknames,
who came on at 9 in the second half to steer the boys to a fantastic win. Nothing quite like winning the Battle of the Age.
Okay, and for a minute, good to have the opportunity, to stop at 11 and just to remember all those people that had served in the armed forces and still do, and to remember those that gave their lives in wars in the service of our nation.
The under-7s had a thoroughly enjoyable festival where we lucked out with the weather once again. Sutton and Epsom were very welcoming. The Cobham kids showed resilience and proper teamwork to score several tries from turnovers, even one after 14 tags? What would you call it? Taggles?
Let's call it taggles.
Taggles.
Henceforth.
New word.
The team continues to perform and improve week
Taggles,
to week,
TM.
and it's a joy to watch.
Brilliant. I love this. So the under-10s. Now, the under-10s might benefit from having Tommy Cobham as one of the coaches, but I think he just laid down the law to Ryan Saunders, Joe Gorard, Ryan and Murph, who came to the under-10s training and taught them all about rucking and tackling, which is mad. I love that. More of the same, please. And you'll find the requests for you, Blissy, coming thick and fast.
Say Ryan Saunders was there teaching them about rucking.
Yeah, no, it was to give them the peripheral view of this is what it might look like to watch other people.
Yeah, this is how you observe a ruck from a safe distance. Yeah, and then our under-12 boys took 2 teams to each 10's tournament. One team won matches against Battersea Ironsides, so some good revenge there. Dorking and Old Irrigations, and the other team drew against Roslyn Park Ironsides and again Dorking. There was another team at home who played another Battersea Ironsides team, winning one game and drawing another. So some very competitive rugby played there across all levels. Too many performances to really mention, but one incredible ankle tackle from George saving our skins against one of the Dorking teams. So well done there. The under-12 girls as well played excellently today in the Surrey County 10s tournament. They ended the day with a draw, a win and 2 very narrow losses against some tough, well-organised opposition, many of whom were almost the size of one of our coaches, apparently. So
Alex is tiny.
Yeah, so that's hopefully a very small coach. The team spirit the girls displayed was incredible to see, and they tackled like hell. Their defence was epic, and except for one small switch off from a restart, they made the opposition work really hard for every score. They also scored some great team tries, one of which might have been caused a coach to leap in the air, fist raised.
Oh, who's that? Under-12 girls?
My God, the emotions.
I'm going to say...
his exuberance was brilliantly ridiculed by the girls.
I'm going to say that's Andy Taylor.
Stay humble.
That's my guess. Good.
The under-14 boys had a tough game against Weybridge Vandals, who clearly eat more than Cobham. That's fattest. Big boys with a tough mentality. Cobham scored a try with the last play to level the scores and have the opportunity to convert to win the game. Alas, it was not to be. A 22-all draw.
Oh, brilliant.
It continues the 100% record of not losing, so undefeated season. Ruben, Oscar and Noah were stars of the day, with new player of the season, E10, scoring the last play.
That's the
try.
dream.
Nice,
That's the
Ethan.
dream for Ethan.
He could retire undefeated.
That's it. Cool. Yeah. This game's a piece of piss.
Rugby's easy.
Under-14 bolter.
Under 15 boys had some Surrey Cup round 3 action today. Ended up 24-all versus Wimbledon Warriors. Great name. The conflict with school commitment's always tricky at this age, so it's great to see 15 of the 80-man squad come from non-rugby playing schools. So they're obviously learning some good stuff at Cobham. Look for the other positives. Cobham scored 4 tries to the opposition's 3. Moral victory then.
Bonus point.
A great cup battle.
It's such an English thing.
Yeah, that's right. Under 16 boys won a scrappy encounter 38-17 versus Dorking in the second round of the Surrey Cup.
Nice.
Player of the match was Gabriel for some great line-breaking runs, with a special shout out to Tane for playing a great game on his debut.
Well done, Tane. Welcome.
Nice Tane.
Cobham and Dorking under 18 girls played a friendly match against Pulborough. They were short of players, so we lent them some of ours. Lots of tries, great runs and some super tackles on both sides. Well done to Izzy for scoring 4 tries, impressive. And Charlotte for her great tackles. Next week, Saturday, under 10s will be Guard of Honour before the first 15 match with Sutton and Epsom. Don't forget the Cobham ex-players lunch on the same day.
Indeed.
The vets are at Friday. On Friday, they're at Farnham.
Fun bus.
On the fun bus.
Fun bus. On the
Yeah.
fun bus.
On the dangerous.
Yeah. So good luck with that.
Brilliant. Come along. A Sutton Epsom game, Blissy. How's that going to pan out?
Well, we had a pretty convincing second half against Battersea. I was looking to take that into Sutton and Epsom, but they've won their last 2 on their head. They've just put 50 points on London Cornish this week, and yeah, they seem to be building some momentum. So we're going to have to stick a penknife in their tyres.
Yeah, they seem to have woken up a bit. Interesting fact about last Saturday's games in Region 2 South East, not one home win. All 6 games away wins.
Jesus. Pete in the data bunch.
He loves that. I can see Duncan jealous that hasn't come out one of your spreadsheets, mate. That you keep.
I know. I clearly just didn't do my homework last week. I apologise.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Can't wait for the weekend. What about the Cobham mailbag?
It's time for the Cobham mailbag.
Loads of stuff coming. We've touched on most of it because we try and get it into the agenda of the programme. I don't know if we can talk about this in the last couple of minutes of the pod, but there's a really good EY Sports engagement report that Murph just told us about.
It really good.
Well, Gen Z, so 18 to 24-year-olds, where rugby historically has been in something like the top 3 sports that have been engaged by that year group. It's dropped out of the top 20 altogether and been replaced by things like boxing, things like Formula 1, and others, pretty much all of which, esports, pretty much all of which have a massive Netflix following. So interesting, and
YouTube following.
Yeah,
as well.
Maybe should we take that as an agenda? Should we go and do some digging over the week, and we'll talk about it next week?
I think it's quite interesting because they list something like Formula 1 and they talk about engagement, which to me means playing or watching. But Formula 1, come on, you sit down and you watch the television. I don't see how you can compare that to the engagement in a team sport.
Things like go-karting, so like competitive. That's how Lewis Hamilton, quite a few other F1 drivers started out. But as far as mass engagement goes, it'd be interesting to see what they.
The Brundle pit walks where he interviews random celebrities that he has no idea who they are.
Yeah,
those little snippets.
I really don't get it. And you look at us this week again. 15 come from youth and minis in the first team. And 12, I think. So between 25 and 30 players every week for Cobham in those first 2 teams are Generation Z players, are they not? So is it affecting us?
Let's roll.
We are but one club though, Pete.
Let's roll.
EY's looking at everyone.
If anyone's listening to this, they're probably getting to Waterloo about now. There's been one more, I think, from Murph, who came on, who I think was asked by Matt Pettican and the other under 10 guys to come and help out, and he did say something really nicely. He wrote a note in, said the kids are learning to ruck and scrum for the first time at this age group, which is a massive change for them. The coaches have got a really tough job, and it was awesome for us to see how they approach things and to learn from them, and for the first team lads to share the knowledge with the kids. They share some ideas for feedback at the end between the coaches, and it would be great for some of the coaches to come to senior training on Wednesday night and compare and contrast coaching styles. So I thought that was really good, and I will put my hand in the air right now and sign up for that. Thanks for that, Murph. That's very cool. Very cool. Right, we're almost at the end. We have this is the time of the pod where we have one of our following can dial in and has a chance to win 3 bags of biltong. And today we have Colonel Rob Smith.
Does he have a nickname?
Smudgeroony. Let's give Rob a Smudger, how you doing, pal?
Yeah, good. Pleasant surprise. I didn't realise it was tonight, so thanks for reminding me.
Yeah. Good man. So simple here. It's 1 question. Sorry, it's 5 questions. They get more and more difficult as they go on. If you get all 5 right, I will bring some biltong to touch or the next game, and you can eat it or you can share it with your teammates who know you got it. Choice is yours, pal. So should we go?
Yeah, sure. All right. Okay, you should get this one, Rob. What time does Vets Touch Rugby start, and what day is it played?
Vets Touch Rugby. Well, we gather at 19:45 for a 2000 kickoff on a Wednesday.
You're not in the army, are you?
That's not what it says here. It says 7:45.
Yeah, and 8 o'clock. Yeah. The Wednesday bit was right though.
Correct.
Well.
Can we get a ding? You were good with the dings last time.
All right, fine. We'll get it. All right. Ding. All right. Okay. All right. Evenings, Rob. What is the name of the barbecue hut at the club?
Of the what, sorry?
Of the Barbecue Hut. It sells a delicious range of burgers and soft drinks on a Sunday and perhaps Saturday.
I think he may struggle. Look.
Is it the Barbecue Hut?
Close.
First time I'm not going to ding.
It's a chain, is it not?
It's the name of a chain in America also. So there's some sort of trademark problem there that we need to close to.
Sounds like Forrest Gump's girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean,
What was that? Second swing?
Yeah. Oh, we forgot, Rob, we're in the army. You're in the army, so we could probably spell this out for you. Should we have that as a pass and you can think about it, and we'll come back to you in question 2.
Okay, mate.
All right.
Okay. At what age does mini rugby start at Cobham Rugby Club?
Under 5s.
Yes.
Nice. Good. What is the name of the brand of biltong behind the bar?
No. We're going to have to only have to ask them what they get.
The only thing you want to do is win some. Like.
I'm not a skinny mucker.
Well, all right.
We might need to just
how are we going to twist the rules to these? Somehow gotten this one right.
If my name was Billy
and I sold biltong,
what could I do with that play on words to make it into a single word?
Billy Tong.
There we go.
Okay, and the fifth and final question: what was the name of the ref at last Friday's match with OCs, and how many cards were issued?
Oh,
Gary Osner.
well done.
Correct.
Oh, yes.
1 yellow card.
And a bonus point for who it was.
Tim Davies.
Of course.
Good. That's the extra point he needed for not knowing the name of the barbecue hut.
Yeah. Shall we do some Roman voting to see? So yes, no, maybe. Does Smudger get some biltong? Roman voting.
Yeah. Just because I love biltong.
You know, thanks, Smudger. 3 packs.
You're too kind.
3 packs of biltong coming your way, and then maybe some writing material and some dictionaries for you, just to up your word count.
I said, yeah. Well done for being available on a Sunday evening.
Well done, pal.
You're too kind, guys.
Thanks, Smudger.
Thanks, Smudger. Thanks for coming in.
Take care, guys.
Well, I think that's us for the evening. Producer Mark Marie Productions, thank you so much for allowing us yet again back into your wonderful, wonderful home. Podmaster Sneed, our roving reporter in the field. Thanks, pal.
In the field, on the field, by the field.
Yes.
Bye.
He takes part.
Duncan, thank you, pal. Thanks for joining us. Blissy, well played. Pete, looking forward to next week.
Pleasure.
And many thanks for the slow gin.
Oh, no.
It was
lovely.
indeed slow, and I remain able to see for now.
And we'll just sign off by saying thank you to our sponsors. So, Savile Estate Agents.
I don't have them in.
Russell Cook Solicitors, SPL Villas, and Mattioli Woods Wealth Management. Once again, corporate overlords, please have mercy on us and continue to fund our wild Saturday, Sunday, and sometimes Friday night hobby.
Thanks all.